Hi folks, my name is Mr. Kuchak and I am your art teacher. Before we begin, let me go over our class rules. We have 3 rules at Elk Lake. Be ready, be responsible, be respectful. We are ready in the art room when we come in, sit in our assigned seats, and get quiet so that we can learn about art. We are responsible in the art room when we follow directions and take care of our supplies, and we clean up any of our messes. We are respectful when we use kind words like please and thank you, and when we value other students' artwork. Supplies you will need for today's lesson. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to. Hi folks, today we are going to be doing our 2-point city. So 2-point means 2-point perspective. We're going to have 2 vanishing points on our paper, and you are going to need a few things for this. Number 1, you're going to need a ruler. If you have a T-square, something like this, looks like the letter T, and that is going to be helpful, but it's not needed. You are going to need a piece of longer paper, so 9 by 12. So if you need to tape 2 pieces together, go ahead and tape 2 pieces together. We're also going to need some tape to hold our paper down. So I like to have my paper nice and straight when I'm drawing, especially with perspective drawing. It seems like it just kind of goes and keeps everything going the right way for me. I even tape the little corners down, and I don't need a lot of tape. I'm not taping the edges. I'm just taping the corners down so that I can draw and that I have room. Now, unfortunately, if I use a pencil, you won't be able to see it on here. So I'm going to draw with a Sharpie. You draw with a pencil. And the first thing we need to do is put in our eye level line. So with our eye level line, in fact, I'm going to do my eye level line in red so that you can see where that's going, so that I can draw with black with the rest of it. Our eye level line is going to be pretty close to the top of our paper. It's going to be at about 4 inches. So the way that we measure with this is we don't want to measure from the bottom up, because that's not going to give us a great measurement. What we want to do is measure from the top down. And you can see your paper's 12 inches down. So I try to go pretty close to the edge so I don't confuse it with a vanishing point. And I put a little dot in at 4. And then I'm going to slide my ruler all the way over to the other side, and 4. Now across from 4, because this ruler has inches on both sides, is 14. If that's not there, just put it next to the 4. That way you don't get confused and you have them in the right spot. Next thing that we do is connect our line. If you're drawing in pencil, draw light, because most of this line gets erased. I'm going to draw it in red because that way you can see it compared to the other things. So now we have our eye level line in place. Once again, this is an imaginary line. It can move up, it can move down. It just tells us where we're looking at. The next thing we need are vanishing points. So our 2-point vanishing points, we're going to put 1 there, and we're going to put 1 there. So put in your 2 vanishing points. Now I'm going to number this one number 1, and this will be number 2. That way I know which way I'm going. The next thing I want to do is go back to my vanishing point, and we want to place where our buildings are going to go. Now you're going to notice with 2-point, it's much faster than 1-point perspective, because 1-point you have to draw the whole front edge. With this, you draw the edge and then everything goes to your vanishing points, so it makes it much quicker. Now the first one that we want to do, we want to put right in the middle of our paper. Since our paper is 18 inches long, we find the number 9, and I'm just going to do a small straight line right there so I remember, hey, that's where I want a building. And then I'm going to come over to 4, I'm going to make a mark, and 14. So 4, 9, 14, that's where we need to make our marks. 4 inches, 9 inches, 14 inches. Once you have your 3 little marks there, then we can start working on our first building. Now the first one I'm going to do with a ruler. The next 2 I'll do with a T-square. That way you can kind of see the difference between them. So when I'm doing this first building, what I want to do is put my ruler so that it's straight at the top. I don't want it crooked, because then I have a very crooked building. This is where a T-square comes in handy. This is why I like using them. especially when I'm drawing buildings, is because with the things needing to be straight up and down, you can see my ruler will stay straight up and down and it won't move anywhere with the T-square. But if we're using rulers, we just put our ruler so that it's even at the top. It's touching that line, and this first one is going to go from, let's go from about 1 all the way down to 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then put your pencil at 10 and go to 11. So we kind of have a dashed line there. This dashed line goes from 1 to 8, 10 to 11. 1 to 8, 10 to 11. This is going to help us once we get our sides put in. Now, we're going to start at the bottom and we're going to work our way up. So this part down here is actually the curb of your city. So we have a street going this way, we have a street going that way. What we do is the bottom is going to go to the first vanishing point. So we go from the bottom all the way to 1. And then the top is going to go all the way to 1. That way we have the edge of our curb. Now, this is going to sound a lot like math class because what we do to one side of our picture, we have to do to the other side. So if you started doing algebra and you start, having to move things around in fractions, what you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. Yes, same thing. What we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So the bottom is going to go to 2. So I put my pencil right here at 2, and I go right all the way up. And then the top is going to go to our vanishing point, and we go all the way up. That way I have all of my road done. So I have my road here, and I'm still going. Now, the problem that we're going to run into, especially on the sides, is that when we draw these, normally what you would do is you would go to the top, you would draw all the way to your first vanishing point, all the way to your second, all the way to your second, all the way to your third, but then you would have to erase half your picture and you would have pencil lines all over the place. So we're going to solve that by saying our lines at the top and bottom are only going to be 3 inches. So how do we measure when we have this in the middle? So we take the edge of our ruler and we aim it right towards our first vanishing point. So the top is aiming to 1. So top to 1. And this way we need to go, since this is going to be backwards, so that's 17 there. So 18, 17, 16, 15. So we need to go to 15. So we're going to come all the way down to 15 and we're going to stop. Once again, I understand it's just hanging off there. Don't worry, we will fix that up in just a minute. Then we put our ruler at the bottom and we are going to do the same thing we just did. We are going to go to 15 and we will stop because I'm counting backwards. 17, 16, 15, that's 3 inches. Now, this side is going to be a little bit easier because when you put your ruler at the top and you go to your vanishing point, you can see that you can go 1, 2, 3. And that way we have the top, and then we will have the bottom here. Now, unfortunately, where I'm set up, I can't get my ruler, let's see, maybe I can, to my vanishing point. Let me just move my table a tiny little bit. Sorry if it's shaking. And that's just not enough. So if that happens where you have something against the wall, just pick one of your numbers that fit. So my 12 fits there. So I'm just once again going to do a 3-inch line. That's 11, 10, 9. That way I have my 3-inch line, and it was going to 2. Once again, it's 3 inches, 3 inches, and it should look like an arrow pointing up, pointing down. Now, you use your ruler, put your pencil on the top one, and connect it to the bottom. Put your pencil at the top, go to the bottom. This way we have the sides of our building done. So this first building, it's right in the middle. It's just kind of sitting there on the sidewalk, and we can add a little bit more to it. I'll show you how in just a little bit. Our next one, though, we are going to come over to our line that we had at 4 inches. So if you're not sure which one it is, you can just measure over and say, oh yeah, that's the one at 4. Put your ruler at the top. Now with this one, we are going to go from, let's go from 1 down to 5. So 1 to 5. So that's at 1, so 1 inch from the top, and then we come all the way down to 5. So just put your pencil at 1, come all the way down. Now the easy thing with this is this is going to be a long building over here. We are going to take the bottom to 1. We're going to take the top to 1. This way we have the top of that building going to 1, and now we are going to go to 2. Here's the trick. Stop when you hit a building. So when I'm drawing this one out, you can see it's going to hit that building. Good. Stop. Do not run through the building. Stop when you hit the building. And stop when you hit the building. This way it looks like it's behind there now. Now I need to grab my T-square for my next one, and I will show you what to do next. All right, folks, so let's say you have a T-square at home. What you would do is you would put it over your line that you need. And then this one, we are going to, I'm going to go from, let's go make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to go from 10,987. So I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller. If I'm using my ruler and you're trying to get that measurement, I went from about, say, 2 to 5. So 2 to 5. Once again, the top goes to 2. So we just draw right over to 2. The bottom goes to 2. And then we have to bring it all the way over to 1. But remember, stop when you hit a building. Do not run through. And keep it up against your ruler. Otherwise, you're going to have lines that go away. Then go from the top. Come all the way down and stop. Now we have our buildings. Now, what if you want to add stuff to it? It's all done the same way that we are going to do the bottom part of the roads. So the roads have a little bit of we'll have some lines going down them so that it looks like it's a dashed line. To do that, we are going to make some marks on each side. We're going to go to both vanishing points. The way that we do these dashed lines is exactly how you do any billboards, how you do any doors, how you do any windows. So this next part is very, very important. So let me get a different color so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. Okay, with our next side, we have our ruler going towards our first vanishing point, just like we did before. We are then going to make a 1-inch line. So I'm just going to go from 16 to 17. That way you can see my line is pointing towards 1 where this one was pointing towards 2. Now that I have that line on there, I'm going to use my green, and my green is going to go from my second vanishing point all the way through the side and right up to the top of the paper. So hit that side, come all the way up, put your pencil in there, hit that, come all the way up. Now we have our lines in there, and since this blue line was going towards the first vanishing point, I'll use blue in here to do the sides here. So I'm going to do my equal sign again. I'm just going to slide my ruler back a little bit, make my line, erase, erase. Slide your ruler back, draw your equal signs, erase, erase. Slide your ruler back, draw your lines, erase, erase. Slide back a little bit more, draw your lines, erase, erase. And let's see, I might be able to, they're almost the same. I'm going to leave those go the way they are, because I think if I do one more, it's going to be too small. Now, that whole trick of drawing a line, going to 1, going to 2, is exactly how we do every type of door. The only difference is they're tall. So if we took this and just put it on a building, which is exactly what we're going to do, we would have this. So let's do a door here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come near my edge. I'm just going to slide my ruler over a little bit. I want to make sure it's nice and straight. That's why I like having that eye level line there. And I'm just going to go from 2 and down. So that's about 1.5 inch line. If you want to make it easier, make a 2-inch line. Make a 2-inch line. And then, just like we did before, if it's on this side of the building, it's got to go to this side. So we put it at the top, and we draw our line. And it's probably big enough for a double door. I go back, I take my ruler, I do my first line, and then I come back in the middle. I'm going to draw my next line, and then I'll do my doorknobs. So then that way, everything's kind of going back. On this side, we would go to the second vanishing point. So I'd take my ruler, I'm just going to slide it down a little bit, keeping it nice and straight until it hits 2. I will draw a 2-inch line. And then, because it's on this side, it goes to 2. So when you're doing windows, whatever side it's closer to, that's where it wants to go. Now I'm going to just draw a smaller one, so I only have to draw one door. I turn my ruler, I go back. Remember, you want these nice and straight and tall. If they're all looking crooked, it just means you're not going back and adding your point in there. Now, if you want it to be like one of those doors that you have to push the bar to get in, once again, go to 2. Go to 2. Add your lines. Once again, go back, make sure they're nice and straight. Crooked lines aren't going to help you there. And then that way you have a door that you can push in. What if you wanted a window? Well, same thing. I come in, I figure out how big I want my window. I go to 2. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to go right to 2. And I'm going to go to 2. Once I have that in there, then I connect. And that way I have a door with a window in there. If you wanted something like a billboard. So a billboard is just a really big door. So I'm going to put a big billboard up here. Once again, take my ruler, slide it over a little bit. Say, okay, that's how big I want my line. Now, it's on this side of the building. It's got to go to 2. So I put my ruler here. And I'm just going to draw to about there. I slide my ruler up. Once again, it's going to my second vanishing point. If it slides out, you want to fix it because it's got to match up that top line there. And then I go back, take my ruler, connect. That way I can do a billboard, I can do lettering, I can do other things inside there, and it'll shrink and it'll make it look like it is supposed to. Now, the last thing some people asked me to do was, what about like on concrete, it's got that pattern, or they wanted to do a pattern here. So one of the things that you can do is put your ruler, let's go this way, put your ruler on the top of your curb. And I'm going to make this, at 3 inches, and then let me do 3 inches all the way down, 6, 9. So I just made tiny little marks at 3, 6, 9. Now the trick is, turn your ruler, find some place that's nice and straight and tall, slide over a tiny little bit. This is the part that most people draw crooked. They want to draw it this way. Don't. If you're getting stuck, if it's coming out crooked, just put your ruler at the bottom, slide it over until you see that line, and then connect. Now once that's done, because this is on this side, it's got to go all the way over. So what we do to one side, we got to do to the other. Just remember, stop when you hit a building. So this is going to come through and stop. I'll pick it up on this side and it'll come all the way down. Way over here, it's going to stop when it hits the building, and I might see a little bit of it there. And then way over here, last, and then it would go through all the buildings, so I would not have to draw that. Now, what I do to one side, I do have to do to the other side. So I'm going to start over here. I am going to move that just a tiny little bit. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. I can get that in there now. So I'm going to make a little mark at 3, a little mark at 6, a little mark at 9. Once I have that done, 3, 6, 9, just like we did over here, I take my ruler, I put it at the bottom of my paper so it's nice and straight and tall, or I can use the side of a building and just slide it over a little bit. I draw my line. I draw my line. I draw my line. Once I have my line, then I am ready for this way. So I need to go over to my first vanishing point. So I put my ruler on 1, I put it here, and I draw through. I pick it up over here, and it comes all the way through. I put it here. It's going to hit. It's going to hit. Remember, when you hit something, stop. Do not draw through everything. It's a whole lot more erasing. And that would be right through there. So then that would stop. So now I have my building, I have the stuff on my sidewalk, I can add other things inside there. So good luck with this. This is 2-point perspective. Basically, you draw the corner of a building and you take it to your 2 vanishing points. Yes, you can get really complex with a lot of the other stuff that you're doing in there, but remember, if you draw something and then you're trying to take it to the first vanishing point and it's already going there, go to the second vanishing point and vice versa. So good luck with this. Can't wait to see what you make. Have a great day, folks.